Hiya, I am Ember, and I'm coming to you from my personal dungeon all the way in the middle of the southeastern United States. So, welcome to my little spot. And today I'm talking specifically to absolutely perhaps brand new Kingsters, brand new to Sharps Kingsters, or possibly even the curious vanilla. So, welcome any way you look at it. Today I wanted to answer just a few basic questions that I typically get asked about sharps and kind of provide you with an introduction to what this is even all about. So the first question is usually, well, what is sharps and blood play? We usually define sharps and blood play as anything that either deals with blood of any form, and then also anything that pierces the skin. So this can be things like needles or staples, things like venipunctures, drawing blood. It can be scratching, anything that is going to open the skin, basically, usually speaking, or involve some sort of blood. It's also considered usually a part of S&M, so sadomasochism, but it doesn't necessarily have to be specifically for the more pain or humiliation aspects. For many folks, it's about the art. It's about a connection. It's about learning about themselves and other people. So there's a lot of different ways that it can go. And it's part of a rather broad kink collective, if you will, a collective of interests. So then why do people typically engage in sharps and blood play? Well, you tell me. It's very individual. If you haven't had a chance to check out our Reign of Blood podcast yet, definitely recommend it. Highly recommend that one. It's got some really great stories on how people have recognized their interests and what their journeys have looked like. So, the reasons for which people engage in it are as unique as the people themselves. For me, it's about being able to have this highly versatile skill set to create an experience. It's almost like a sort of performance art based in connection or an experiential art piece to a large degree. For other people, it can be about feeling things like fear, like you would look for in, say, a haunted house or by going on a roller coaster. Or it can be about, again, creating body art, creating a connection with parts of yourself, decorating parts of yourself. So it depends on the person. So, what kinds of blood and sharps play are there? Well, anything again to do with stuff that goes into the skin or opens the skin or deals with blood. So, this can be things sometimes like dealing with period blood is often considered blood play. Venipunctures, like I mentioned, there's staples, knives, and so artistic cutting and knife play don't necessarily have to be the same thing. We can do just sharp sensation. So that can be like things about knives that don't cut the skin or Wartenberg wheels or the like. So those are more sharp sensations. We also see things like hooks or skin pulls, sutures, barbed wire, things like insertions of other kinds of objects like safety pins or sometimes other metal objects. So there's basically sky's the limit with a lot of things. Now, of course, there are ways to approach it that tend to keep folks a little bit safer and be a little bit more risk aware and risk mitigated. And that's what we're here to talk about with Reign of Blood. So, the purpose of Reign of Blood is to help you find connections to community, connections to resources, and to expose you to some of the various kinds of play out there. You'll see everything from porcupine quills to barbed wire to sutures and more. So you'll have a good representation of the unique ways in which Kingsters engage in this interest around the world. So where do you start if you're interested and you're brand new? Well, first place I suggest is learning. Whether you intend to top, bottom, switch, verse, whatever you want to call it there, learn. You should feel empowered to recognize green flags and kind of red flags, things that are going really well and situations that you should be in, and maybe where you should question things and set some boundaries. You should understand some things about yourself. Feel free to take your time. There's no rush or hurry with this. So, once you have a good understanding of your own personal risk profile, your interests, and how to recognize some of those key things that are going to indicate that this is a good spot for you, then you can go and check to see if there are any special interest groups or munches that are in your area or near you. You can attend other conventions. So there are lots of Blood and Sharps based or Blood and Sharps adjacent events, conventions around the world as well. And many kink conventions that also may not be directly based in Sharps and Blood, but also welcome that aspect or that group of kinksters. So you can find connections there. You can also hop on FetLife and find some of the groups or discussions that are built around it. And there is a reasonable online community surrounding these. So you will take the time, learn how to vet your communities, learn how to vet your events, people that you're considering playing with, and also to consider how this is going to affect your life and what risks you're willing to take and what risks you want to stay away from. So, what should you really know? Well, I recommend a few things. Bloodborne pathogens, infection training. I definitely recommend negotiations, understanding boundaries, consent, understanding your personal capacity, how to address that and assess that, how to communicate really well. Also, having first aid knowledge of how things are going to go. You should also have an understanding, or at least a basic understanding, of the mechanics and techniques in the kind of play that you're interested in engaging with. So, what does that look like? It's a little different for each one, but you can again take your time. There's no rush. It's more important that it's done well and thought through than it is to rush out there and experience it all with this. Because this is something that is often very personal and intimate for folks and does carry some risk to it. However, there's no race and there's no prize for fastest experiencing. So take a load off, take some time. Take your time, enjoy Reign of Blood, and feel free to reach out to other attendees, other groups, and things to introduce yourself and ask questions when you don't understand something. You may just learn a thing or two. Hope you have a lovely day and enjoy the rest of the con.